ICD-10, International Classification of Diseases. It is a system which is accepted worldwide just to classify disorders. WHO introduced a separate section of behavioral disorders in section 5 of ICD-8 in 1955. But to overcome the disadvantages or drawbacks or limitations of ICD-8, a new comprehensive classification has come or developed in 1979 as ICD-9. So, with the aim of consistent worldwide classification of diseases, ICD-10 is started in 1993 in collaboration with DSM-4, that is Diagnostic Statistic Manual 4. DSM is more compatible related to mental disorders or mental illnesses. So both were combinedly worked to have some conclusions. In USA, ICD-10 used in many aspects, many areas of health, like treatment aspects, health benefits, health insurance companies or referral services, etc. So the developments were made combinedly by both ICD and DSM system. So, thus empirically standard worldwide ICD classification has come with classifying the disorders as ICD-10. These classification of disorders can be remembered with the acronym called OMSNB, means 5 letters, okay, OMSNB, PMPBU. O for organic mental disorders or symptomatic mental disorders. M is mental and behavior disorders. S is schizotypal or schizophrenia or delusional or mood disorders. N is neurotic or stress and somatoform disorders. B is behavioral syndromes including both psychogenic and physical factors or aspects. That is OMSNB. 5 if you remember, that will be better or easy to remember well. Then PMPBU. P means disorders of personality and the behavioral problems. Okay, or means personality disorders and behavioral problems. Then coming to the M is mental retardation. Okay, that is a separate entity. Then again next coming to other P is disorders of psychological aspects, means or psychological disorders. Okay, one P is personality, one P is psychological disorders. M is mental retardation, that is MR. Then coming to next B is behavior or emotional disorders in childhood and adolescence. U for unspecified. Okay, that is PMPBU. So this is about the classification disorders in ICD. Coming to the advantages of ICD, because these diseases are classified clearly, it is the best way to understand the disorders, various psychological disorders. And it is also best for the clinicians, psychiatrists or investigators as a means to diagnose and to study about these disorders. It means treatment aspect, clinical symptoms, clinical aspects or signs and symptoms, treatment modalities, everything can be very easy with the classification of disorders related to mental illness or mental disorders. It is scientifically or empirically based description of all the mental disorders. So it is completely proven, studied with research. The treatment planning and the prediction of the course disorders are possible with this ICD classification. It provides the more information as we get plenty of day-to-day information or trends from day to day, because we get plenty of information from all the practitioners or the clinical aspects, doctors or researchers, investigators. So we get plenty information from the clinical area as well as the research areas, so that we can make variety of or progressive improvements in ICD classification. So these are the few assets or advantages of ICD. Coming to the drawbacks or disadvantages, it leads to stigma, labeling, giving a name to a pattern of behaviors with negative connotations. So if you label schizophrenic, so they will be having some stigma, negative sense in the community that they don't like. So once that stamp, once that feeling has come, even though they are retrieved or they got a treatment, they cannot remove that labeling. Understood? Means mood disorders or melancholic, or we can say depressive patients. So once the client or the person is labeled with so and so psychological disorder, all the people, means most of the people in the community, will be still treating or considering me as only mental or psychological patient only. So that is called stigma and labeling, which will have a very negative impact on the person's personal life. Labeling affects individuals' lives to a greater extent, which will decrease the self-esteem or self-confidence of the clients. Then the patient sticks to the symptoms only even after the disappearing or treatment of the symptoms due to other experiences in the community. Following strictly ICD-10, we can lose the valuable information and overcoming uniqueness of a person or a patient being studied. So these are the few drawbacks of ICD. Thank you.